What your dog thinks when you leave home. Have you ever closed the front door, heard your dog bark once, and wondered whether they were saying goodbye or begging you not to leave? Most dog owners believe they know what happens after they leave home. Their dog probably takes a nap, maybe chews on a toy, maybe looks out the window for a little while, then waits until dinner. Simple, right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if, from your dog's point of view, the moment you leave feels completely different than you imagine? Because here's something most people forget. You understand where you're going. Your dog doesn't. You know whether you'll be gone for 10 minutes or 10 hours. Your dog doesn't. You know you'll come back. Your dog hopes you will. And that small difference changes everything. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. The person you trust most in the world smiles at you, talks to you, spends time with you, then suddenly walks out the door. No explanation, no calendar, no clock, no message, nothing. They simply disappear. That's much closer to your dog's experience than most people realize. Dogs don't understand jobs. They don't understand office buildings. They don't understand grocery stores. They don't understand business trips. They don't understand why humans spend so much time staring at glowing rectangles. All they understand is this: you were here, and now you're gone. For an animal whose entire emotional world revolves around connection, that can be surprisingly confusing. The funny thing is, most dogs don't immediately become sad after you leave, at least not right away. The first thing many dogs become is curious. They listen carefully. The sound of your footsteps, the sound of the gate closing, the sound of your car starting, the sound of your car disappearing down the street. And then they wait. Not because they know you're coming back, but because they're not completely convinced you've actually left yet. Have you ever noticed how your dog sometimes runs to the window after you leave, or sits near the door, or walks from room to room? They're gathering information, checking for clues, trying to understand what just happened. Because in their minds, you didn't leave for work, you vanished, and their brain immediately starts trying to solve the mystery. Many dogs will check the places you were just sitting: your favorite chair, your side of the couch, your bed, your desk, your kitchen chair, anywhere that still feels like you. Humans often think dogs do this because they miss us, and that's partly true. But there's another reason. Dogs experience the world through scent in a way humans can barely imagine. Your home is filled with invisible traces of you. Your scent is on the furniture. Your scent is on the blankets. Your scent is on your clothes. Your scent is everywhere. And for your dog, those scents tell a story, a comforting story, a familiar story, a story that says, my person exists. My person belongs here. My person is still part of my world. That's why some dogs sleep on your clothes. That's why some dogs steal your socks. That's why some dogs carry your shoes around the house. It's not because they're plotting chaos, although sometimes it certainly looks that way. It's because those objects smell like the person they love most. Imagine having a photograph of someone you miss. Now imagine if that photograph could actually make you feel closer to them. That's what your scent often does for your dog. Researchers studying canine behavior discovered something fascinating. When dogs smell their owner's scent, areas of the brain associated with comfort, safety, and positive emotion become more active. Think about how incredible that is. Your old hoodie, your worn-out sneakers, the sweatshirt you haven't washed in 3 days. Those things might seem completely ordinary to you, but to your dog, they're emotional anchors, tiny reminders that you're still connected, that you're still family, that you're still coming back. And perhaps that's why some dogs don't spend the entire day feeling miserable, because even when you're gone, pieces of you remain. Your scent remains. Your routines remain. Your presence lingers in small ways. But not every dog handles separation the same way. Some dogs adapt quickly. They stretch out on the sofa, take a long nap, watch birds outside the window, relax peacefully until you return. Others struggle. They pace. They bark, they whine, they become restless, they walk in circles, they wait near the door, and sometimes they look genuinely worried. This is where many owners accidentally misunderstand their dogs. They assume the dog is being stubborn, or dramatic, or attention-seeking. But often, that's not what's happening at all. Your dog isn't trying to make your life difficult. Your dog is trying to manage emotions they don't fully understand. Remember, dogs don't have language the way we do. When humans feel anxious, we can explain it. We can say, "I'm worried, I'm stressed, I miss someone, I'm feeling lonely." Dogs can't do that. Their emotions come out through behavior, and sometimes those behaviors look messy. Sometimes anxiety looks like barking. Sometimes it looks like chewing furniture. Sometimes it looks like pacing. Sometimes it looks like staring out the window for hours. And sometimes it looks like quietly waiting. What makes this even more emotional is the fact that your dog doesn't understand time the way you do. You know you'll be home at 5. Your dog doesn't. You know you're only gone for a few hours. Your dog doesn't. You know today's separation is temporary. Your dog doesn't. They only know one thing. The person they love most isn't here right now. And for a creature that evolved to stay close to its family, that's a powerful feeling. But before you start feeling guilty, there's something important you need to understand. Something your dog would probably tell you if they could. Because despite all the waiting, despite all the uncertainty, despite every moment they spend watching the door, there is one reason they keep doing it. One reason they never truly give up hope. And that reason reveals something beautiful about the way dogs love us. Something we'll explore next. But here's the part of the story most people never see. The hours after you leave. The quiet hours. The invisible hours. The chapter of your dog's day that unfolds when nobody else is around. At first, they listen. Dogs are incredible listeners. Not because they understand language the way humans do, but because they pay attention to patterns. The sound of your keys. The sound of your shoes. The sound of the front door. The sound of your car. These sounds become part of their daily routine, and when those sounds disappear, they notice more than most people realize. Many dogs will walk to the door after you leave, then to a nearby window, then back to the door, then into another room, then back again. It's almost as if they're conducting an investigation, searching for clues, trying to answer a question that seems very simple to us, but feels much bigger to them. Where did my person go? And perhaps even more importantly, when are they coming back? The truth is, dogs don't understand schedules. They don't understand clocks. They don't understand that you'll be back at 5:30, or 6 o'clock, or after dinner. They only understand what they can experience right now. And right now, you're gone. That's why some dogs seem to check on the house repeatedly. Not because they've forgotten, not because they're confused, but because hope keeps bringing them back to the door. Every sound matters. A car engine, footsteps outside, a gate closing, a voice in the distance. For a brief second, every one of those sounds could be you. And every time it isn't, the waiting continues. Yet here's the beautiful part. Most dogs never stop believing you'll come back. Think about how remarkable that is. Humans lose faith all the time. Humans become impatient. Humans become frustrated. Humans become discouraged. Dogs, they keep hoping. They keep trusting. They keep waiting. Day after day. Year after year. There is something profoundly beautiful about that kind of loyalty. And maybe that's why so many people say dogs teach us how to love. Because dogs rarely complicate love. Humans often do. We attach conditions to it. Expectations, requirements, scores, measurements. Dogs don't. To your dog, love is astonishingly simple. You exist. You belong to each other. And that is enough. That's one reason your dog probably spends more time thinking about you than you realize. Not in a complicated way, not in a human way, but in a deeply emotional way. Because relationships are at the center of a dog's world. You are not just the person who fills the food bowl. If that were true, Dogs wouldn't wait by the door. They wouldn't follow you from room to room. They wouldn't sleep beside your bed. They wouldn't celebrate your return with such overwhelming excitement. Food matters, but connection matters more. That's why some dogs ignore treats when they're anxious. That's why some dogs refuse to eat when separated from the people they love. Because emotional security often comes before everything else, including food. And that tells us something important. Your presence has value beyond anything you buy, beyond any toy, beyond any treat, beyond any luxury. The thing your dog wants most is often the one thing many owners worry about the least. Time. Not endless time. Not perfect time. Just time together. A quiet walk. A few minutes on the couch. A hand resting on their head. A moment of eye contact. A shared routine. Those things may seem ordinary, but to your dog, they're priceless. In fact, if dogs could create photo albums the way humans do, most of their favorite memories probably wouldn't be dramatic. There would be no trophies, no promotions, no expensive purchases. Instead, there would be simple moments. The day you sat on the floor with them, the rainy afternoon you stayed home together, the evening walk around the neighborhood, the time you laughed, the time you hugged them, the time you simply stayed. And perhaps that's what makes dogs such extraordinary companions. They constantly remind us that happiness is often hiding inside ordinary moments, the moments we usually rush past, the moments we barely notice, the moments we assume we'll always have. But dogs notice them. Dogs treasure them. Dogs live inside them. That's because dogs experience life differently. Humans live in 3 places at once: the past, the present, and the future. We're constantly replaying old mistakes or worrying about future problems. Dogs don't do that. Dogs live almost entirely in the present, right now. This walk, this nap, this cuddle, this meal, this moment. And because of that, dogs become masters of appreciation. They appreciate things most humans overlook: sunlight on the floor, a familiar voice, a comfortable blanket, the sound of your footsteps, the feeling of your hand, the simple joy of being together. Which brings us back to the moment you return home, because eventually, after all the waiting, after all the listening, after all the hoping, it happens. Your car appears, your footsteps approach, the key slides into the lock, the door opens, and suddenly, everything changes. The tail starts wagging, the eyes light up, the ears perk forward, the entire body comes alive. It's one of the purest expressions of happiness you'll ever witness. Not because your dog had a difficult day, not because they were counting the minutes, but because someone important came back, someone they love, someone they trust, someone who makes the world feel safe. And perhaps the most touching part of all is this: your dog doesn't greet you based on who you are in the world, only who you are to them. You could have had the worst day of your life. You could have failed. You could have made mistakes. You could have disappointed people. None of that matters to your dog. The moment you walk through the door, you're still their favorite person. You're still home. You're still enough. And that's a lesson many humans spend their entire lives trying to learn. You don't have to earn your dog's love every day. You already have it. Not because you're perfect, but because you're you. And then comes the part nobody wants to talk about. The part every dog owner eventually faces: time. Because while humans count years, dogs count moments. And unfortunately, their moments pass much faster than ours. One day, there will be a last time you leave the house and come back to see them waiting. A last walk. A last car ride. A last game of fetch. A last evening together on the couch. You won't know it's the last one. Neither will they. And that's exactly why today matters. That's why tonight matters. That's why the next walk matters. Because your dog doesn't care about having a perfect life. They care about sharing life with you, right now, while they can. And maybe that's what your dog is truly thinking every time you leave home. Not, "I wish I had more toys." Not, "I wish I had a bigger yard." Not, "I wish my life were different." Instead, something beautifully simple. I hope my person comes back soon, because to your dog, you are more than their owner. You are more than their caretaker. You are more than their best friend. You are a huge part of their entire world. And every time that door opens, that world feels complete again. If this story reminded you of your dog, tell us their name in the comments below. And what do you think they're thinking every time you leave home? Don't forget to subscribe to DogMind Tales, because every wagging tail has a story, and every story helps us understand our dogs a little more before it's too late.